Hello everyone, I am Nagraj Chaudapur, Assistant Professor, BGMIT, Madhur. In the last lecture, number 5, we have defined what is composition of force, what is resultant force, and we have defined the methods of determining the resultant force. Right, we have three different methods. So one is triangular law of forces, another one is polygon law of forces, and one more is parallelogram law of forces. As it is said, so these are the two graphical methods, and this is the one analytical method with which we can determine the magnitude and direction of resultant force. Right, we have defined resultant force is one such force which can be representing the effect of all these force producing at this point. Right, so the resultant force is the one single force which will replace and represent the effect of all these force producing at point where the line of action of all force are meeting. Right, so this is the one resultant force which we can write. Right, so where R represent the resultant force which will replace and represent the effect produced by all these force F1, F2, F3, F4 both in magnitude and direction. Right, so this is the resultant force we have defined, and we have also defined the composition of force. Composition of force is nothing but it is a method or technique of determining the resultant force. Right, so now we have defined these two in the last class, so let us go to the parallelogram law of forces in this class. Right, so now coming to parallelogram law of forces, so this is one analytical method in order to determine the magnitude of result. Right, so let us go through the statement. Right, if two forces are acting at a point simultaneously, and if these two forces can be represented as a two sides of a parallelogram, then the diagonal sides, the diagonal side of a parallelogram represent the resultant force. Right, so if I'm able to represent the two adjacent sides of a parallelogram as two forces, right, which are acting at a point with some angle of inclination theta. So let us consider two forces F1 and F2 are acting at a point simultaneously with some angle of inclination theta here. Right. So if I'm able to represent these two forces as a two adjacent sides of a triangle, two adjacent sides of a parallelogram, both in magnitude and direction. So the diagonal of the parallelogram represents the resultant force. So that is the statement we are able to see here. Right? If two forces are acting at a point simultaneously as two adjacent sides of a parallelogram, so the diagonal side of a parallelogram represents the resultant force both in magnitude and direction. So this is the one statement we heard. Right, now let us write a parallelogram OACBO. OACBO is the parallelogram where two adjacent sides of a parallelogram are represented by a two force F1 and F2. Here these are the two forces acting at a point simultaneously. If these two forces F1 and F2 are able to represent as a two adjacent sides of a parallelogram, right? So this diagonal represents a resultant force. Now what is the expression we can write for this diagonal side of a parallelogram? So right, we have to write the expression for to calculate the magnitude of this resultant force R. Considering this parallelogram, right, let us notation have some notations here. Let OA represents force F1, so OB represents force F2, where OB is parallel to AC. Right, where OB is parallel to AC in a parallelogram, both opposite sides will be equal to each other. Considering that, we can write OB is equal to AC is equal to F2. Right, here the diagonal side OC represents resultant force R. Right, so let the angle between two forces F1 and F2 be theta, and the angle between the resultant force and x-axis will be alpha. Right, now, so in order to obtain this resultant force magnitude, so in order to obtain the expression for magnitude of the resultant force R, so let us extend this line OA to D, right? So let us extend the line OA to D. So let us extend this line AD and let us drop a perpendicular from point C to D. So let us drop a perpendicular from point C to D. So that we can mark a triangle here CAD, or we can mark a triangle ACD, right? So with this triangle, so we have to write the expression for AD and CD, right? So taking the AC as F2, since AC is parallel to OB. Since AC is parallel to OB, we can write AC is also equal to F2, right? So considering this AC, we have to write the expression for AD and CD. So right, that is what I have written here, right? Extend the line OA to D so that we can get AD, right? So drop a perpendicular from point C to D so that we can get CD. Let us try to understand what is this AD and what is this CD, right? So considering the triangle ACD, so we can write cos theta is equal to adjacent by hypotenuse. Similarly, so we know that sin theta is equal to opposite by hypotenuse, right? So look at the triangle CAD or ACD. This is the hypotenuse side, this is the adjacent side, and this will be the opposite side, right? So now hypotenuse side represents AC is equal to F2, right? So using that F2 and the angle of inclination theta, right? So how do you get this theta? Since OB and AC are parallel to each other, angle between OB and x-axis, or angle between OB and OA is theta, because so those are the two forces F1 and F2. Right? Angle between those two forces theta. So since angle between those two forces theta, so here angle between OB and OA is theta. Since OB is parallel to AC, so angle between AC and AD also will become theta, because they are F shape of cones, angle between two parallel lines. So considering that acute angle, so we can write the expression for AD and CD in the triangle CAD, right? So we can write sin theta is equal to opposite by hypotenuse, that is CD by F2. So that is what we have written here. Sin theta is equal to CD by F2. So that we can write F2. So that we can write sin theta is equal to CD by F2. We can write CD is equal to F2 sin theta. Similarly, considering that triangle, we can write cos theta is equal to adjacent, that is AD by hypotenuse F2. AD by F2, right? So that you can write the expression for AD. AD is equal to F2 cos theta and CD is equal to F2 sin theta. Now, in order to obtain the magnitude of this resultant force R, so that is nothing but OC, right? So considering this triangle OCD, considering the triangle OCD, we can write the expression in order to get the OC. So that is nothing but hypotenuse side, right? Using the Pythagoras theorem, we can write OC square is equal to OD square plus CD square. OC square is equal to OD square plus CD square, right? Here this OD is obtained by adding this OA to AD, right? So this is the combination of OA and AD, right? So we can replace OD by OA plus AD, and we can write CD as it is, right? So OC square is equal to OA plus AD whole square plus CD square, right? So similarly, we can write OC is equal to under the square root OA plus AD whole square plus CD square, right? Here we can represent OA as F1. OA we can represent as F1, and AD can be represented as F2 cos theta, and CD can be represented as F2 sin theta, right? So replacing OA by F1, AD by F2 cos theta, and CD by F2 sin theta, right? So we can expand this F1 plus F2 cos theta whole square plus F2 sin theta whole square under the square root, right? We can expand F1 plus F2 cos theta whole square can be expanded as A plus B whole square, right? So using A plus B whole square, we can write F1 square plus F2 square cos square theta plus 2 F1 F2 cos theta plus, so this can be written as F2 square sin square theta, right? So taking the F2 common outside from these two equations, so we can write So f1 square plus f2 square plus 2f1 f2 cos theta under the square root. So this is the equation for magnitude of result. Since sin square theta plus cos square theta is 1, we can take out this f2 common outside, and this equation can be written as f1 square plus f2 square plus 2f1 f2 cos theta. So now this is the equation for magnitude of the resultant force R. That if two forces F1 and F2 are acting at a point simultaneously, so those force can be reduced as a single force. So that single force is called as resultant force. The equation for resultant force is obtained as F1 square plus F2 square plus 2F1 F2 cos theta. And the angle of inclination between those two forces is theta here. Right. So similarly, in order to get the direction of resultant force, that is the inclination of resultant force with respect to x-axis, right? So that is we have written as alpha here, right? In order to get alpha in the triangle OCD, right? So we can write, so alpha that is equal to tan alpha, you can write CD by OD, opposite by adjacent, right? So tan alpha can be written as opposite by adjacent, right? Here opposite is CD, adjacent is obtained by OD, right? CD by OD, so that OD can be written as OA plus AD, right? So now tan alpha is equal to CD divided by OA plus AD, so that CD is represented as F2 sin theta. CD can be represented as F2 sin theta, right? So now we can replace CD by F2 sin theta, and OA can be represented as F1, AD can be represented as F2 cos theta, right? Now replacing all this trigonometric functions, right? Now we can write alpha is equal to tan inverse of f2 sin theta divided by f1 plus f2 cos theta. This is the equation to get the direction of resultant force with respect to x-axis, right? So now we have two equations or two expressions in order to get the magnitude of resultant and direction of resultant, right? Magnitude of resultant is obtained by equation square root of f1 square plus f2 square plus 2f1 f2 cos theta, right? When two forces are acting at a point simultaneously and the angle of inclination between those two forces is theta. Similarly, so the resultant force R f1 square plus f2 square plus 2f1 f2 cos theta under the square root. So will change according to the angle of inclination between two forces, right? If angle of inclination between two forces f1 and f2 is 180 degree, right? So this R expression will reduce to R is equal to f1 minus f2. Since so theta between those two forces is 180, right? We can substitute theta here as 180. The cos 180 is minus 1, right? So substituting this minus 1, so this will become f1 minus f2 whole square. That whole square and square root will get cancelled, right? At the end we can become, it can become f1 minus f2. So this can be written as f1 minus f2 whole square, right? F1 minus f2 whole square and this square root will get cancelled. We can write the equation as R is equal to f1 minus f2. So that is the magnitude of resultant. Similarly, if angle between two forces is 0, right? If theta is 0, right? So that means two forces will be acting simultaneously along one particular line in the same direction, right? So at that time the cos 0 is 1, so this equation will reduce to f1 plus f2 square plus 2f1 f2 cos 0 is 1, right? So this will become f1 plus f2 whole square, right? F1 plus f2 whole square and this square root will get cancelled, so it will remain with the equation R is equal to f1 plus f2. Similarly, if theta is 90 degree between two forces, if theta is 90 degree between two forces, right? Now the equation will reduce to square root of f1 square plus f2 square, right? Where cos 90 is 0, 0 multiplied by anything is 0, right? We'll end up with the R is equal to square root of f1 square plus f2 square, and two forces are mutually perpendicular to each other. So this is the one equation will be useful for us to calculate the magnitude of resultant force when components of force are mutually perpendicular to each other. So this is about the parallelogram law of forces.